Stocks head lower as weak overnight cues add to already fragile investor sentiment. Real estate and utilities witness greater selling, as do mid-caps.
Axis Bank bucks the trend in order to eke out an improvement in margins aided by strong growth in advances. Asset quality also sees a significant improvement. The stock outperforms today.
Tech Mahindra slips after it posts a sharper than expected decline in the revenues and margins. It cites prioritization on core business as a key reason for the miss, and all eyes are on now on the new CEO's strategy to be unveiled in April.
Jubilant Foodworks slips after an anticipated weak quarter and a mild profit miss, but Sona BLW gains on strong revenue growth and a favorable product mix-driven expansion in margins.
Hello and very good afternoon to all of you. You've tuned into Business Lounge. I'm Nisha Poddar, and with me as always is Pavitra Parekh. Pavitra, I've surely got the color right today. But what a carnage in the market. And of course, we have been discussing the various pressure points on the market, and they all have come together with negative cues coming in from the global market. Let's take a look at Nifty 50. It did try to really recover a tad bit, but there is no let up in sight for the market at the moment. 1.21% down on Nifty 50 and getting comfortable at 18,800 levels. Remember, it's just about 50 points above the lowest point the trading session, and we are already at the halfway mark in the trading session. There goes the indication for the next half as well. Now, Bank Nifty, that is down 1.4%. Of course, the big financials, a quasi-investment for the economy, is the one which is taking the maximum amount of brunt, and that is always a theme that plays out. Mid-caps, that has taken the maximum brunt, and that theme really continues even today. 1.8% down on mid-cap index. Advanced decline ratio is no surprises there. It is heavily in favor of the declines. But while we talk about the overall pressure points and broad-based selling in the market, there are pockets of bright spot based on certain earnings reaction as well as news-driven flows, like case in point, Axis Bank, which is the highest performer and the best performer and standing tall despite a very, very weak market because of its results yesterday. Apart from that, some of the biggest losers at this point coming in from the finance as well as the auto space. M&M is losing a lot. UPL, Bajaj Finance, Tech Mahindra posts the results, and a whole host of others. And the big wigs like HDFC Bank with a big fall. Reliance Industries also putting pressure on Nifty 50, Pavitra.
I mean, it's been a brutal day, right, for us. Actually, this is the sixth straight session where we've seen a loss come through for our own markets, of course, led by what's going on globally. But if you look at it for the week so far, Nifty is still down around 3.4%. There's been a bit of a recovery in the broader markets, but even then, the mid-cap index is down over 5%, small caps down around 5.5% for the week. So that is the kind of selling pressure that you're seeing. The advanced decline right now is at 1:4, so big favor in, in the move of declines over there. The India VIX, the volatility index that we track so closely, that has shot up. The last time I checked, I think it was close to 10% on the India VIX, now around 9% over there as well. So watch this pack closely. A lot of the pockets of the market which had run up very sharply, the shipbuilders, defense, railways, all of these coming down and, coming down pretty hard over there. In terms of what is doing a little bit better right now, a lot of the big tech names are attempting a move higher. So you have HCL, which has broken into the green, but Infi, Wipro looking a little bit better than they did in the morning. And also some of the consumption stocks. So something like an HUL, Britannia, Tata Consumers, looking better than what we did have on our, on our hands maybe 2 hours ago or so. But we do have 2 hours of trade left, and it is the F&O expiry day also, so things could really go either way. Let's see how that pans out. But we're going to kickstart the show by talking about two ends of the market. That's Axis and Tech Mahindra. Axis is the top gainer and one of the only few gainers on the index after its second quarter numbers. So Abhishek is here to break the numbers down for us. Abhishek.
Well, as you mentioned, the Axis Bank has been quite a good result with a beat on the poll with respect to P&L, as the loan growth is the best in last 7-8 years. So to begin with, the positive is that it's a rare instance where a bank has been able to improve its net interest margin on a sequential basis in Q2, like we saw for ICICI Bank, a decline of 25 basis points. For Kotak Mahindra Bank, it declined by 35 basis points. But for Axis Bank, it's improved by 1 basis point. So deposit growth at 17.9% YOY is the best in last 7 quarters, and the loan growth of about 22.8% is the best in last 7 years or even more. So the CD ratio or credit deposit ratio is at 93.9%, which is the best in last 20 quarters. Now, annualized slippage ratio of 1.45%, and the total slippages or on a quarterly basis at about 3,254 crore. Both are the lowest in last 12 quarters, or let's say 3 years. So in terms of asset quality, gross NPA ratio is the lowest in last 30 quarters or 7.5 years, and net NPA ratio is the lowest in last 33 quarters, coming in at 0.36%. Negative from the result is that the cost to income ratio at 50.24% is the highest in last 5 quarters. They have return of 2,671 crores, which is the highest write-off in last 9 quarters. And CASA ratio, which for the industry is on a declining trend, is at 5-quarter low of 44.4%. In terms of P&L, both the ANA and PAT is a beat on our poll. Back to you.
All right, Abhishek, thanks so much for getting us all those details. Of course, it's the biggest gainer in an otherwise very weak market. Another important stock that I want to highlight, the stock, the results of which are getting flashed on your screen, is Canara Bank, which has really improved after the results came out, and still market is digesting. Of course, the asset quality is looking much better on a QOQ basis, and that is something probably the market likes. But of course, we'll watch out for more reaction as well as the analysis of the numbers going forward. But let's focus on Tech Mahindra. That's the stock which is losing sheen today. One of the top Nifty losers in trade today on the back of a weak set of second quarter earnings. And Reema Tendulkar, our in-house IT expert, joins in with the fine print of what the company has shown and how the performance is looking like going forward. Reema.
You know, as you guys have been saying, Tech Mahindra is a big miss, both on the revenues and on the margins. Revenues falling by 2.4% quarter on quarter. The communication verticals, which contributes more than a third to its overall revenue, had a fall of close to about 5%. EBIT margins on a reported basis down 4.7%. Adjusted margins are down 400 basis points on a quarter-on-quarter basis. And the entire strategy to revive the company, get back to industry standards, is going to be known only in April. Jefferies has cut EPS estimates by 9 to 28%. Nomura says FY24 is going to be a kitchen-sinking year. The saving grace was the dividend of 12 rupees per share. Macquarie says that the communication vertical will continue to be a drag, and therefore it will be difficult for Tech Mahindra to match to the peer group growth rates even in FY25. So even next year, it's going to be difficult, while HSBC lowers the target price to 970 from 1100 rupees per share.
All right, Reema, thanks a lot for getting us all of those details on Tech Mahindra's performance. But with that, it is time for a short break. When we come back, we're going to bring you details as SEBI bars popular influencer Mohammed Nasir, popularly known as Bap of Chart, from the securities market. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still tuned into Business Lunch. Now, SEBI on Wednesday barred influencer Mohammed Nasiruddin Ansari, popularly known as Bap of Chart, from accessing the securities market. So Prashant is joining us with more details on this story. Prashant.
The issue of influencers has been discussed and debated hotly. Do they do more harm than good? Do they actually make money under the garb of education, so-called education? The SEBI chairman has spoken about this. There have been guidelines which have been issued by the market regulator, and now we have an order which has come through as well. So what are we talking about? The matter itself. So Mohammed Nasir, who ran something called Bap of Chart, was providing trading recommendations. There were promises made of making profits with near certainty, and of course not registered with SEBI as an investment advisor. The observations from the market regulator, recommendations were made in the garb of education. Money was collected for these courses, education courses, and there were buy-sell recommendations made in private groups. I'll get into some of this in greater detail. The order asks Mr. Ansari to deposit around 17 crores in an escrow account, and he's, of course, barred from accessing capital markets until further orders. So this is essentially the matter and what the action has been taken. But I want to take you into some of the aspects of the SEBI order and the kind of courses, etc., which were offered, the promises which were made up on your screen. I'm only highlighting around 10 of these courses, and I think the names up when we put this up here makes it clear how outrageous some of this stuff was. But people fell for it, right? 200x option buying strategy, Shaktiman strategy, etc., etc. Money was collected, people paid up. From the SEBI order again, some of the promises which were made, right, to sell these courses, marketing, 200x option buying strategy. You can make money in all types of markets. There's something called MSP, which is make sure short profit. Again, the Shaktiman strategy makes an appearance here. The SEBI order also highlights reach via social media in terms of how some of these people use all platforms to lure, suck in novice and gullible investors, people who actually want to enter the stock market, learn more about it. These are the platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Telegram, etc. Now, the claims on social media, just a sample of this. There are many more. You can go on the SEBI website, read the order for yourself. Bas 5 minute mein short profit karo. How to make 5 to 10 lakh rupees every month. Friday short option buying strategy. And again, the Shaktiman strategy, make 200 to 300% profit. Outrageous, laughable, but it's tragic that people actually fall for this stuff. And that's the reason why we wanted to put this up for the viewers who may be watching. Now, I just want to end with something which I think makes it so stark, right? The SEBI order says that this gentleman, in his own trading account for the period that they studied this for, lost about 3 crore rupees, while he, projecting himself as an expert, a stock market expert, and selling these education courses, collected some 17 crore rupees, which of course now the regulator is asking him to deposit in an escrow account under the control of SEBI. I think I don't need to say more. This tells the story really, and why all of us need to be extremely careful and not fall for this glib, sort of over-the-moon promises which are made to lure in and suck in investors and potential first-time entrants or even experienced ones to pay up for what is essentially worthless advice and, of course, promises to make a quick buck. So the first, in a way, forceful action coming in from SEBI with regards to some of this stuff, and I hope it's not the last. Back to you.
All right, Prashant, thanks so much for all the details. But let's focus on a couple of stocks which are on my radar because of positive development. Canara Bank flashing on your screen. The asset quality has substantially improved. In fact, the gross NPA has improved by about 1,000 crores on a YOY basis, 500 crores on a QOQ basis, and the street likes it in a very, very weak market. The stock has really recovered with a strong surge up about 1% at the moment. And keep an eye out for this. NIMs are also almost flat on a QOQ basis. A Kotak estimate, my colleague Abhishek Kothari had pointed out, had estimated a decline in the NIMs. So it is coming in flat, probably also a good reason. So Mani Ceramics buyback by the company is also taken with both hands, and that particular stock had also gone up in trade and recovered. With that, we'll slip into a short breather on Business Lunch. When we return, we'll put the spotlight on Chhattisgarh, Salwa Judum region as the elections draw near. Stay tuned. Markets seeing slight recovery there, but let's focus on the election exchange, our special series ahead of the Chhattisgarh elections. Well, Salwa Judum means peace march in Gondi dialect. But for the last 18 years, the phrase represents something else in Chhattisgarh. In 2005, remember, the government started recruiting and arming local tribals against the Naxalites. In 2011, the Supreme Court declared this arming of civilians unconstitutional. Now, these Salwa Judum recruits now say everyone has forgotten them, about them, as they are of no use to anyone anymore. Santya Gora, our colleague, gets us this story from Chhattisgarh's Bastar region. Take a look.
This is Kasoli village in Chhattisgarh's Bastar region, 350 kilometers from the capital city, Raipur. This is a Salwa Judum village, and these are Salwa Judum recruits and their families. In 2005, the government started recruiting local tribals to fight Naxalites. The security forces provided weapons to these recruits. But in 2011, the Supreme Court said that the government can't arm civilians like this. The court directed the government to recall the weapons provided to Salwa Judum recruits. It's been years now, and the recruits say that the government didn't keep their promise of looking after them. The government might have forgotten about the Salwa Judum recruits, but Naxalites haven't. The recruits and their families are forced to live near camps of security forces to protect themselves from being attacked by Naxalites. They are uprooted and have no place to go now. 40-year-old Budhram Kovasi, an original Salwa Judum recruit, shared his story with us.
आप सलवा जुडूम में कब भर्ती हुए, अपनी मर्जी से गए थे क्या, आपको क्या हथियार मिले थे, कुछ बता सकते हैं?
नहीं हो क्या तरह मैं तीर धनुष से पकड़ के तो चलो जा हमला करेंगे बोलने से हम लोग नहीं बन सकेंगे बोला, मैं इसलिए डर कमारी में यहाँ आए।
और भर्ती कब हुए थे आप?
2005।
अच्छा, मुझे ये बताएं कि उसके बाद अभी जो है वो नक्सलियों का डर अभी भी है आपको? गांव जा सकते हैं अकेले कि नहीं जा सकते?
नहीं जा सकते, पर्स के साथ में जा सकते लेकिन अभी नहीं सकते।
Naxalites want to seek revenge against these recruits for joining Salwa Judum. Even the next generation of these recruits can't go back to their native land.
मैं बीजापुर की हूँ, यहीं पर आके शादी हुआ है मेरा जी। उन लोग उधर के थे, उधर से जब सलवा जुडूम उठा तो यहाँ पे आए हैं। नक्सली लोग का डर है तभी गांव नहीं जा पाते हैं।
Salwa Judum recruits during their peak came under the scanner of various human rights organizations which claimed that these warriors combed village after village looking for Naxalites. Many of the Salwa Judum warriors are accused of burning and looting villages in the name of looking for Naxalites. The situation is very different for the Salwa Judum recruits now without the protection of the state. They say the government either talks about the local tribals or Naxalites, but no one talks about them.
अभी चुनाव सर पे है, बूथ कहाँ होंगे तय हो गया है। जो बूथ के केंद्र सड़कों पे थे, गांव में नहीं था, वो सारे वापस हो गए हैं। अब उन गांव में 15 साल बाद वो अपने गांव में मतदान करेंगे। ये लगभग 125 से 150 पोलिंग बूथ है।
नक्सल के खिलाफ लड़ाई की पृष्ठभूमि और तैयारी बीजेपी ने ही किया। कांग्रेस के पूरे शासनकाल के दौरान नक्सलियों को संरक्षण दिया गया, बढ़ाने का काम किया, चाहे मध्य प्रदेश की सरकार हो, चाहे कांग्रेस की सरकार 2003 तक यहाँ थी, उस सरकार थी, हमने कार्य योजना बनाया।
Salwa Judum's existence was declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court in 2011. 12 years since then, the original recruits are floundering for roots, and so are their families and their children. They say the promises of support made by the government at the time of recruitment have been forgotten, and now they have neither a home nor land to call their own. They are, for all intents and purposes, the voters Chhattisgarh has forgotten. In Kasoli, Chhattisgarh, with camera person Swapnil Bandekar, this is Santya for CNBC-TV18.
All right, Santya, thanks a lot for bringing us that very important story on Salwa Judum. But, moving on now, the Uttarakhand government is also organizing a global investor summit with a target of raising 25,000 crore rupees to double the state's gross state domestic product in the next 5 years to order some investment. The state is also advertising cheap labor, low-cost industrial electricity, as well as land banks in the plains and the hills, which will be holding 12 domestic and 4 international roadshows to attract investors to the state.
All right. With that, it's curtains down on this edition of Business Lunch, but market weakness persists, and keep an eye out on that. Mid-cap radar comes up next. Thanks so much.